INTI, USS Philadelphia, SSN 690, control room, night. The dark is absolute, eaten only by the blood-orange glow of dials. This is not a room. It is a living, breathing organ of stealth and pressure. The air tastes of chilled metal and fear sweat, a taste that has been lingering for 72 hours, ever since the world shattered. On the main sonar screen, a green waterfall of sound cascades downward. Sonar Chief Warren Harris, eyes sunken from strain, sees not lines, but intentions. He hears the Baltic's chorus, the grinding of glacial rock, the distant thrum of a tanker's screw. But he is listening for silence, for the void where a sound should be. Beside him, Commander Michael Holden is a statue of focused dread. He is not looking at the instruments. He is feeling the boat. The minute vibration in the deck plates speaks of a stressed pump, a bearing on edge. His thumb runs over a crack in the edge of the chart table, a personal ritual. His mind is split. Half here, in this pressurized tube. Half in a sunlit kitchen in Groton, Connecticut, where 7 days ago, his daughter, voice thin through a bad satellite phone connection, asked, "Daddy, are you where the planes are falling?" He had no answer then. He has none now. A low K-laxon bleats once, soft but urgent. Not an alarm for the crew, a whisper for the command. Harris's body stiffens. "Con, sonar, transient, bearing 093. His voice is too calm. It is the calm of a man holding a live grenade. Metallic. A hatch closing? A tool dropped in a machinery space. Holden's stillness deepens. In these waters, a dropped tool is a gunshot. Classification. Not biological, not geological, it's factory-made. Harris adjusts a filter. The sound becomes clearer, isolated, a sharp, resonant clang, muffled by water and distance, but unmistakable. Human error. Helm, all stop, dead in the water. Holden's order is a breath. The constant, soothing hum of the propeller shaft dies. The Philadelphia becomes a 7,000-ton ghost, sinking silently into the cold, layered water. The only sound is the frantic beating of 20 hearts. INT. Soviet submarine K-244. Shchuka. Control room. Night. Here the heat is oppressive. Condensation drips from pipe joints like sweat. The light is jaundiced, casting long shadows from the bulky analog consoles. The fear here is different. It is not the fear of the deep, but the fear of the man standing beside you. Captain First Rank. Alexei Orlov's face is a map of old tensions. A scar pulls at his eyebrow from a long-ago incident in the Barents Sea. His eyes, the pale blue of Arctic ice, scan his men. They are boys, most of them, conscripts. Their fear is a smell in the air, sour and sharp. He sees it in the hands of the young sonar operator, Ivanov, as they hover over his panel. The boy is from Minsk. He wanted to be a concert pianist. His fingers now trace not keys, but the jagged lines of a hydrophone readout. The political officer, Zakharov, does not sweat. He observes from his post near the sealed compartment of the special communications gear. His gaze is a weight. He has already spoken twice of vigilance against imperialist provocation, of the heroic pilots who defended our sacred border from the Korean spy plane. His words are not reminders. They are instructions. Orlov's own orders are a knot in his gut. Find the intruder violating the motherland's approaches. The intruder is reported as a Swedish submarine. But the report comes from GRU, military intelligence, not the Navy. Orlov trusts the sea. He does not trust the GRU. Ivanov flinches. He hears something. A low-frequency drone so deep it is felt in the teeth more than heard. Comrade Captain, a harmonic anomaly, bearing 270. It is... It was there. Now it is fading. Orlov is beside him in 2 strides. Put it on speaker. The control room fills with a sound like a giant sleeping. A deep, rhythmic, mechanical exhalation. Zakharov steps forward, a thin smile on his lips. The ghost. The Swede. Orlov ignores him. He knows that sound profile. He has studied the NATO acoustics database until his eyes burned. The harmonic is wrong for a Swedish diesel boat. It is too clean, too steady. The hair on his arms rises. It is the sound of a nuclear reactor circulation pump. An American pump. Quiet, Orlov commands, his voice a gravel whisper. Go to silent running. All non-essential systems off. We are a rock on the bottom. He makes a choice. A dangerous one. He does not report the contact's suspected identity to Fleet. Not yet. He needs to be sure. To see the devil with his own eyes. INT. Swedish Naval Intelligence, Moscow basement. Night. This room is a sterile, fluorescent bright tomb. The air hums with the sound of tape drives and cooling fans. It smells of dust and ozone. Lieutenant Johann Marcus has not slept in 48 hours. The spectrograms are taped to every wall, a constellation of potential threats. His desk is a nest of coffee cups and sound wave printouts. He is chasing a phantom. A faint, anomalous propeller signature recorded near the restricted zone of the Karlskrona Naval Base. His superior, Commander Dag Dahlström, has ordered him to drop it. It is peacetime, Marcus. We do not need to invent wars. But Marcus's wife, Elin, is 8 months pregnant. Their first child. Lying awake next to her, feeling the baby kick, he sees not a future of playgrounds and laughter, but of a dark, silent shape gliding through the archipelago he loves. A shape that does not belong. He is not chasing a ghost for his career. He is clearing the water for his child. He runs a new correlation algorithm, one he built himself against regulations. He feeds it the ghost signature and the library of known sounds. The computer whirs. A new window pops up. A match. 94% confidence. The match is not to a Swedish submarine. It is to a sound profile flagged NATO, estimated, Los Angeles class. Marcus's blood turns to ice. He picks up the red phone, the direct line to the Coastal Defense Commander. It rings and rings. XT, Baltic Sea, night, 180 meters. The water is a stratified world of darkness. A thermocline layer acts like a liquid mirror, bending and trapping sound. Above it, the world is muffled. Below it, silence reigns. The USS Philadelphia hangs motionless, a black leviathan in the ink. The Soviet K-244, now just a shadow, creeps forward at 3 knots, her own pumps silenced, running on battery power alone. Her passive sonar array is extended, a giant, sensitive ear, straining for the faintest echo of the American's presence. On the Philadelphia, Harris listens. The clang is gone. But in its place, a new void, a patch of ocean that is too quiet, a hole in the natural noise floor. Con sonar, I have a blank spot. Bearing 275, moving. It's absorbing sound, sir, like a submarine. Holden understands immediately. The hunter has become the hunted. Helm, ahead slow. Make your depth 160 meters. Right full rudder, bring us to course 110, gently. The boat must move. To stay is to die. The massive submarine begins to turn, its rudder biting the water. On the K-244, Ivanov's eyes widen. Comrade Captain, hydrodynamic flow noise. Sharp bearing change. They are turning. They have detected us. Orlov's mind races. They are in a narrow, uncharted channel. His charts, outdated, show a rising seabed to the east. The American is turning into it. Or is it a feint? A trap. Match his turn. Keep us in his baffles. Prepare for active pulse. Orlov barks. It is a gamble. Active sonar is a shout in the library. It will reveal their position to everyone, including the Swedes. But he must know. No, Zakharov's voice cuts through. The order is identification, not provocation. You will reveal our position. Orlov turns on him, the years of discipline fraying. They are not Swedish. They are American. In our waters. What is your precious ideology worth against that fact? The argument freezes the control room for 2 deadly seconds. In T. Swedish Naval Intelligence, night. The coastal commander finally answers, voice thick with sleep. Marcus, do you know what time it is? Sir, I have a confirmed Los Angeles-class signature inside the Harsfjorden Inlet. I repeat, a probable American nuclear attack submarine in our territorial waters. A long silence. Then, a weary, horrified sigh. God in heaven, alert the first destroyer flotilla. But Marcus, no radios. Send a courier, on my authority. This does not leave this room until we have visual confirmation. If you are wrong, our careers are over. If you are right, the world is over. Marcus drops the phone. He looks at the grainy ultrasound photo of his daughter, taped to his monitor. He has just started a chain of events he cannot stop. EXT. Baltic Sea. Night. The Philadelphia completes its turn, its bow now aimed toward what it believes is open water. The K-244, delayed by the argument, pushes forward, its passive array now directly in the path of the Americans' widening turn. On the seabed below them, unseen on both sets of charts, a solitary granite pinnacle, a relic of the last ice age, rises like a spear to within 90 meters of the surface. The Philadelphia's hull, swinging wide, clears the rock by 20 meters. The K-244, coming straight on, does not. The sound is not a crash. It is a deep, visceral, grinding tear. The shriek of high tensile steel yielding to immutable stone. Inside the Soviet submarine, every light explodes in a shower of sparks. The deck heaves upward, throwing men into consoles. A main seawater pipe, fractured, erupts with the force of a cannon, cutting a conscript in half. The scream of rending metal drowns out all human sound. The boat lists violently, pinned on the stone spike. Inside the American submarine, the impact is a colossal, shuddering blow from the darkness. Holden is thrown against the periscope column, his ribs cracking. Emergency lighting bathes the control room in a hellish red. A chorus of damage reports screams from every corner. Flooding an aft compartment. Reactor scram! We are snagged. We are snagged on something. The 2 submarines, one impaled, one entangled, are now joined in a silent, sinking embrace of steel and terror. The cold Baltic water begins its relentless ingress. INT. USS Philadelphia. Control room. Continuous. The red emergency lights pulse like a dying heartbeat. The air is already fouling, stinging with the acrid bite of burnt insulation and a new wet metal smell. Freezing seawater swirls around Holden's boots, pooling from a ruptured conduit in the aft bulkhead. He pushes himself up, a sharp pain lancing through his side. Ignore it. His world has contracted to this room, these sounds. The screams from the aft compartments are thin, metallic, cut short by the thunderous rush of water against buckling doors. Chief of the Boatmaster, Chief Miller, face a mask of soot and determination, is at the damage control panel. His voice is a steady roar against the chaos. Forward compartment secure. Pressure hull holding aft of frame 42. We're taking water in the engine room through a ruptured sea chest. Flooding is controlled but not stopped. Holden's mind works with a terrifying, crystalline clarity. They are stuck. The shuddering, grinding vibration through the deck plates tells him they are not free. They are caught on something, dragging it with them as they settle. Helm, report. No response, sir. Hydraulic pressure is gone. We're on emergency manual. Harris, sonar, what did we hit? Sonar Chief Harris is clawing his headset back on, his console flickering. He listens, his face draining of all color. He isn't hearing the sea. He's hearing a symphony of destruction, the shriek of tearing metal, the explosive hiss of high-pressure air, and beneath it, a sound that chills his blood, the distinct, desperate rhythm of another submarine's emergency bilge pumps. Captain, Harris's voice cracks. We didn't hit a rock. Not just a rock. We're entangled with another boat. I hear her pumps. I hear her hull buckling. The statement hangs in the fetid air. The enemy is no longer an abstract. It is a dying beast, locked to them in a fatal embrace. Holden's eyes meet Miller's. The unspoken truth passes between them. They are attached to a crippled Soviet submarine in Swedish waters. If that boat's reactor goes, if its warheads cook off, they are all dust. If they break free and leave it to sink, it's an act of war. If they stay, they drown. Int, Soviet submarine. K-244, control room. Here, hell is warmer, brighter, and filled with screams. The main lighting is gone, but a battery-powered emergency lamp casts a stark, swinging light over a scene from a butcher's shop. The impact with the Pinnacle was not a collision. It was an impalement. A jagged spur of granite has punched up through the lower hull, skewering the reactor compartment bulkhead. It hasn't breached the primary pressure vessel, but it has turned the engineering spaces into a charnel house. Captain Orloff wrenches a fallen console off a young sailor. The boy's leg is bent at a nauseating angle. Orloff's ears ring with the deafening scream of high-pressure steam venting from a ruptured line. The heat is becoming unbearable. Zakharov, the political officer, is on his knees, not praying but vomiting. The theoretical war has become a wet, visceral reality. "Report!" Orlov bellows, his voice raw. The navigator, clutching a bleeding head wound, sobs. "The rock! It's through us! We are pinned! We are taking on water forward! The battery well is flooding!" Orlov stumbles to the periscope well, looking at nothing, thinking. They are stuck fast. To surface, they would need to tear their own hull in half. His boat is a tomb. And then, through the cacophony, his trained ear picks up a new sound. Not his boat. A deeper, slower, more powerful rhythm. The thrum of forced circulation. The sound he identified minutes before. The American is still there, not fleeing, right there. The realization is a lightning strike. They are not just pinned. They are pinned together. The American must be snagged on the same outcrop, or on them. A savage, desperate hope claws its way up his throat. He seizes Zakharov by the shoulder. "The American! He is trapped with us. His fate is our fate. Do you understand? There is no them now. Only us and the deep." Zakharov stares, uncomprehending, his ideology shattered by the physical reality of salt water and blood. EXT Baltic Sea, surface, night. The sea is calm. A silver moon glints on the ink-black water. There is no sign of the catastrophe 80 meters below. No oil slick, no debris. Just the quiet lapping of waves against the rocky shore of a deserted Swedish islet. INT. Swedish Navy Command Center. Moscow. The sterile calm of the command center is now electric, with a suppressed panic. Large tactical maps are illuminated. 2 red markers pulse, almost on top of each other, in the narrow Harsfjorden Inlet. Commander Dag Dahlstrom stands before his superiors, his face pale. Lieutenant Johann Marcus stands rigidly beside him, the courier's written confirmation clutched in his damp hand. The acoustic signature is confirmed, Dahlstrom says, his voice too loud in the quiet room. 2 distinct propeller and reactor signatures. They were maneuvering. Then at 0237 hours we recorded a high-energy transient event consistent with a dual hull impact and seabed penetration. Then, silence. Only low-frequency stress noise and pumping. A gray-haired admiral, the supreme commander of the Swedish coastal fleet, leans forward. Silence? No communications? No distress signals? None, sir. Total radio blackout from both vessels. Their positions? Marcus finds his voice. It sounds young, frail. Static, sir. They are not moving. They are either sitting on the bottom or pinned to it. Depth approximately 85 meters. Well, within our territorial limit. The Admiral stares at the converging red dots. The implications bloom in the room like a dark flower. 2 nuclear-powered submarines, 1 American, 1 Soviet, are lying crippled on the seabed of Sweden's most sensitive military archipelago. They are holding their breath. And if they exhale, if there is an explosion, a radiation leak, a desperate act, the fallout, literal and political, will blanket Europe. Issue a notice to mariners, the Admiral says quietly. Classify the entire Harsfjorden area as an immediate navigational hazard due to suspected unexploded ordnance from World War II. Shut it down. No one in, no one out. Not a fishing boat, not a journalist. He turns to Marcus, his eyes old and tired. You, Lieutenant, you found them. You own this now. I want a silent surveillance perimeter. Hydrophones, magnetic anomaly detectors. I want to hear them breathe. But God help you, if a single sonar ping echoes in that fjord, you will light the fuse yourself. Inti, USS Philadelphia, Captain's cabin. Holden sips tepid water, ignoring the throbbing in his side. The small photo of his family is in his hand. The glass is cracked. He looks at his daughter's smile, now fragmented. He made her a promise on that sunlit porch. I always come back. It was a lie fathers tell, a lie he now must make true. Chief Miller enters, his face grim. Reactor is stable in cold shutdown. We have battery power for 48 hours, less if we fight the flooding. The entanglement, sir. Sonar suggests the Soviet boat is speared. We're likely hooked on a piece of her wreckage or the same rock. If we try to break free with emergency blow, we might tear her in half. Or ourselves. And if we don't, we sink with her. Or the Swedes find us. Or the Soviets send a salvage team that starts a shooting war on our doorstep. Holden closes his eyes. Every option is catastrophic. Every order is a potential death sentence for his crew, and for the men on the other side of the steel. He thinks of Orlov. He doesn't know his name, but he knows his mind. He is over there in the dark, hearing the same pumps, facing the same calculus. A reckless, insane idea forms. It violates every protocol, every tenet of the Cold War. Harris, Holden says, his voice suddenly calm, on the passive array, the low-frequency emergency frequency, the one every submariner in the world listens to when all else is lost. The Gertrude, sir? Harris asks, horrified. It's an underwater telephone. A shout in the silent service. Modulate it. Send a single ping, not a search ping, a door knock. Int. Soviet submarine. K-244, control room. Orlov is wrapping a tourniquet around a sailor's arm when he hears it. A sound that doesn't belong to the dying groans of his ship. A single resonant pong echoes through the hull, clear and deliberate. Every man freezes. It is not a Swedish active sonar. It is more primitive, more personal. It is a call. Orlov stares at the bulkhead, as if he could see through it. Through the rock, through the dark water, into the other metal coffin. He understands. It is an invitation and a test. He looks at his men, bleeding, terrified boys. He looks at Zakharov, who shakes his head frantically, mouthing, "Provokatia." Orlov makes his choice. He walks to his own emergency acoustic panel. His hand, streaked with grease and blood, hovers over the switch. In the dripping, steaming silence of the control room, he presses the transmit key. On the American submarine and on the Swedish hydrophones, listening in the dark above, a second pong returns the call. The conversation has begun. NT, USS Philadelphia, control room. The two pongs hang in the air, a fragile bridge across 60 meters of dark water and 50 years of enmity. The men in the Philadelphia's control room don't breathe. They've just made first contact with a ghost that is trying to kill them. Sonar Chief Harris has his eyes screwed shut, listening to the acoustic return. "Solid return, Captain. Direct path. They're close. Very close. I'm reading continuous compressive stress noise from their hull. It's bad over there." Commander Holden's side is a fire of broken ribs, but the pain is a focusing agent. The Gertrude, the underwater telephone, is a last resort. It's an open channel. Anyone listening, the Swedes, any other Soviet vessel, will hear. But the time for stealth is over. The time for survival has begun. "Open the channel," Holden says, his voice low. "All frequencies." A low hiss fills the control room, the sound of the cold Baltic itself. Holden leans toward the battered microphone. He must choose his first words to an enemy, with the care of a man defusing a bomb. "Unidentified submarine. This is the United States submarine Philadelphia. We are both in extremis. Do you understand?" Silence. Only the hiss and the groan of metal. Then a voice, crackling, heavily accented, thick with static and strain, but clear. "United States submarine. This is Soviet submarine K-244. We understand. Our situation is critical." A shiver runs through the American crew. Soviet. It's confirmed. The abstract enemy now has a designation, a number, and a voice, thick with shared desperation. "We are entangled or in close proximity," Holden continues, protocol stripped away. "Our hull is breached. We are taking water. Are you able to surface?" A bitter, static-laced sound that might be a laugh. "Negative. We are impaled on a geological formation. To surface is to tear ourselves apart. Your position? We are snagged, likely on you or the same formation. Attempting to break free risks catastrophic hull failure for both vessels." Holden states the nightmare plainly. He can hear ragged breathing from the other side. He pictures their control room, dark, steaming, dying. "We propose a temporary cessation of hostilities, a mutual aid pact, for damage assessment only." A longer silence. Then, a new voice, sharper, edged with panic, cuts in on the Soviet side. "This is Political Officer Zakharov. Do not comply. This is a trick. They will report our position. They will—" The voice is cut off, muffled. A scuffle. Then, the first voice, Orlov's, returns, breathless. "Ignore that. We agree. A truce. For damage assessment. How do you propose?" Holden looks at Chief Miller, then at the schematics of a Soviet Shchuka-class submarine on his screen, an intelligence file now being used for rescue. "We need to visualize the entanglement. We have a low-light video array on a retractable boom. We can extend it, attempt to see the point of contact. You must hold absolutely still. We are not going anywhere, American. Orlov's reply is dry, grim. Proceed. Int. Soviet submarine. K-244. Control room. Captain Orlov lowers the microphone. His hand is trembling from the effort of shoving Zakharov away from the console. The political officer glares at him from the shadows, holding his jaw, his eyes burning with betrayal. You have committed treason, Orlov, communicating with the enemy. I will see you shot. Then we will be shot together, comrade political officer. Orlov snarls, his composure gone. In a dry cell, which is preferable to drowning in this tin can. Now be silent, or I will have you restrained. He turns to his navigator. They are sending an eye, a camera. We must give them nothing else. All non-essential systems off. No sonar pings. No radio bursts. We are a rock. But he hesitates, the next order feeling alien on his tongue. If their device comes close to our hull, light it with emergency floods. Help them see. The order is met with stunned silence, helping the enemy see your weakness. Do it, Orlov barks. Our survival is now tied to theirs. That is not ideology. That is hydrodynamics. EXT. The entanglement. Underwater. From a blister on the Philadelphia's hull, a mechanical arm unfolds with painful slowness. At its tip, a small, ruggedized camera housing, its red recording light a lone eye in the abyss. On the Philadelphia's control room monitor, a grainy, green-tinted world materializes. They see their own scarred hull, the long tear along the aft ballast tank. Then the camera pans, following a twisted shard of metal that is not theirs. It leads to the Soviet submarine. The image steals the breath from every man watching. The K-244 is a wounded Leviathan. A massive spear of granite, darker than the surrounding gloom, has punched up through her belly just aft of the sail. The lower hull is wrapped around it like tinfoil. A debris field of insulation, wiring, and unidentifiable machinery floats in a slow dance around the puncture. From a rupture near the conning tower, a relentless stream of bubbles, precious air, escapes in a silver curtain. Then, as promised, blazing white emergency lights snap on from the Soviet sub's hull, blinding the camera for a moment before it adjusts. The full, horrific extent is revealed. The submarine is not just pinned, it is crucified on the stone. The rock has missed the reactor compartment by a mere 3 meters, but it has eviscerated the forward battery room and living quarters. The sea is slowly, inevitably, filling it. INT, Swedish surveillance ship MV Sveaborg. Bridge Lieutenant Johan Marcus listens through hydrophones lowered into the silent fjord. He hears everything. The 2 pings, the tense, crackling dialogue in English and Russian. He has a translator whispering in his ear. He is not just listening to a disaster. He is listening to the Cold War being rewritten in real time. His superior, Commander Dahlstrom, stands beside him, face ashen. They are talking to each other, he murmurs, disbelieving. They are cooperating. They are trying to survive. Marcus corrects softly, his hand unconsciously resting on his own stomach, thinking of the life growing inside his wife. He hears the terror in the Soviet political officer's voice, the exhausted resolve in the 2 captains. They've made their own peace, down there. A peace that will shatter the moment Moscow or Washington gives an order, Dahlstrom says. And those orders are coming. INT. The Pentagon, National Military Command Center. Day a vaulted room, buzzing with a quieter, more lethal panic. Satellite images of the Swedish coastline are displayed. Admirals and generals cluster around a speakerphone. The voice of the National Security Advisor is crisp. The President's directive is clear. The Philadelphia cannot fall into Soviet or Swedish hands. Her technology, her mission logs, are beyond top secret. The crew is to be extracted if possible. The vessel is to be sanitized or destroyed if recovery is impossible. Is that understood? A 4-star admiral, the chief of naval operations, stares at a photo of Michael Holden, his file open, a man he promoted. Understood? And the Soviet submarine? A beat of silence. The Soviet submarine is a Soviet problem. If the Philadelphia's destruction necessitates the elimination of the Soviet vessel to preserve operational security, then it is a regrettable necessity. Prepare the execute order for transmission. INT. Kremlin Situation Room. Night. A similar scene, mirrored in dark wood and smoke. A marshal of the Soviet Navy speaks, his finger jabbing a map. The K-244 is compromised. It carries the new Type 65 torpedo guidance schematics in its safe. It cannot be allowed to be boarded. Comrade General Secretary, we have a Mikhail Rudnitsky-class salvage tug 12 hours away. It has depth capabilities and cutting equipment. The General Secretary's face is impassive. And the American submarine? It is crippled alongside our boat. A unique opportunity. To do what? To eliminate a key enemy asset. The accident provides plausible deniability. A depth charge, set to clear debris for our salvage operation, could finish what the rock started. We recover our secrets. They bury theirs. The General Secretary lights another cigarette. The Swedes are listening. They will know. The Swedes, the Marshal says, will do nothing. They are neutral. They fear us more than they love the Americans. Prepare the orders for Captain Orlov and for the salvage tug. INT. USS Philadelphia. Control room. The video feed is off. The camera is retracting. The room is silent, heavy with the shared vision of the Soviet boat's agony. Holden knows what he must do. It is a line that, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. He keys the Gertrude. K-244. We have visual. Your damage is severe. Our assessment. You cannot surface without structural failure. Your battery compartment is fully flooded. You have limited time on air. Orlov's voice comes back, stripped of all pretense. Just a tired man stating facts. We concur. Your assessment? We can likely break free using emergency blow to our aft ballast, but it will create a significant upheaval. It may destabilize your position on the geological formation. It may finish the rupture. The meaning is clear. The Philadelphia might escape, but the shock wave could doom the K-244. I see, Orlov says quietly. And if you do not, we sink with you, or wait for a rescue that will start a war on the surface. The static hisses for a full 10 seconds. Then, Orlov's voice, firm. There is a third option. You suggested mutual aid. The aid we require is not for assessment. It is for transfer. Holden freezes. Transfer? My crew. 62 men. Your vessel, while damaged, is fundamentally intact. You have an airlock. You have reserve buoyancy. You could take them. The statement is so audacious, it silences the control room, taking Soviet sailors aboard a stranded U.S. attack sub. The sharp voice of political officer Zakharov erupts again in the background on the Soviet channel, screaming in Russian, "Never! We will die as Soviet sailors. This is surrender. Orlov, you are a sickening thud, a grunt, then silence. Orlov's voice returns, colder now. The offer stands. You take my men. You leave the officers. And me. We will secure the boat. Holden understands. Orlov is offering him the crew to save them, and offering himself and his officers as a sacrifice to the motherland's pride, and to keep the ship's deepest secrets out of American hands. It is a brutal, elegant, and terrible calculus. Before Holden can answer, his communications officer turns, face pale. "Captain, flash traffic. Priority Alpha. From ComSublant." The encoded message prints out. Holden reads it. The blood leaves his face. The orders are clear, unequivocal, and monstrous. He looks at the Gertrude microphone, at the voice from the other boat. He looks at the cracked photo of his daughter. He is no longer just a captain trying to save his men. He is a man standing between two abysses, holding the only thread that might keep both crews from falling. And the governments they serve have just ordered him to cut it. Int, USS Philadelphia, control room. The flimsy paper of the ComSublant order feels like lead in Commander Holden's hand. The words are a clinical abomination. Prioritize preservation of strategic assets and intelligence, crew extraction secondary. Sanitize vessel, if capture imminent. Neutralize adjacent threat to operational security. It is a death sentence for his boat, his men, and the 62 souls trapped in the steel tomb beside them. Neutralize. A clean word for murder. Chief Miller reads the look on his face. "Sir, the orders." "I have the orders, Chief." Holden's voice is a hollow thing. He looks at the Gertrude, at the fragile thread of understanding stretched across the abyss. He made a pact, a captain's word. But he also took an oath to his country. The two have just become mutually exclusive. He makes a choice, not as a commander, but as a man. He keys the microphone, his voice deliberately steady, betraying nothing of the tectonic shift happening within him. K-244, your proposal is significant. We require time to assess our stability and buoyancy calculations. Stand by. He releases the key and turns to Miller and Harris. His eyes are those of a stranger. "We are not discussing that transmission with anyone. It is not received. Is that understood?" The two senior enlisted men, the backbone of the boat, hold his gaze. They saw the video feed. They heard the desperation in Orlov's voice. They also know their duty. Miller gives a single grim nod. Harris echoes it. Mutiny, for now, wears the face of silence. "Harris, I need a ghost," Holden says. A false signal. Something to make anyone listening upstairs think our Gertrude transmitter just failed. A simulated overload burst, then go completely passive. Harris doesn't question. His fingers fly over the panel. A moment later, a sharp, distorted squeal of feedback emits from the Philadelphia's hull and dies abruptly. To the Swedish hydrophones, it will sound like a catastrophic electrical short. "Miller, we have one chance. The emergency blow to the aft ballast tanks might rock us free, but if we do it while attached to them, it will shear their hull. We need to separate the point of contact first." "How, sir?" "We can't send divers. The pressure, the cold. We don't have to. The entanglement is that twisted piece of their outer hull plating snagged on our starboard diving plane. We have the manipulator arm. We can try to push it off." Miller stares. "Sir, that's a handshake. That's us touching their boat. If they misinterpret the movement as an attack, then we're all dead a few minutes sooner," Holden finishes. He keys the Gertrude again. A risk. K-244. "We are attempting a minor adjustment to our starboard plane. Do not be alarmed. It is to facilitate calculation. Acknowledge." A tense pause. Then Orlov's wary voice. "Acknowledge. Do nothing sudden. Int, Soviet submarine K-244. Control room. Orlov lowers the microphone. The air is now a toxic soup. CO2 levels are rising. A headache pounds behind his eyes. Zakharov is conscious again, tied to a chair with electrical wire, glaring silently. The trust he shattered is irreparable. Orlov's own executive officer, a loyal man named Lieutenant Commander Sokolov, whispers, "Captain, they are lying." Minor adjustment? They are planning something the Americans do not share. What choice do we have, Vitaly? Orlov's whisper is raw. To sit and wait for our own people to depth charge us, to hide our secrets? I know what those orders will be. I would give them myself. He looks at the young conscripts, some crying silently, others in a catatonic stupor. But not for these boys. They did not choose this war. A low, grinding vibration thrums through the deck. A foreign sensation, not their own dying systems. It's coming from outside, from the point of contact with the American. They are moving, Sokolov breathes, hand going to his sidearm. Steady, Orlov commands, closing his eyes, listening with his whole being. The vibration is not violent. It is a persistent, metallic scraping, a slow, deliberate pressure. XT, the entanglement, underwater. On the Philadelphia's monitor, the robotic arm extends again. This time, its claw-like manipulator gently, with infinite care, makes contact with the jagged flange of Soviet steel hooked around their diving plane. Hydraulics whine. The arm begins to push, not with a jerk, but with a constant, firm pressure. On the grainy screen, they see the twisted metal groan. Flakes of rust and paint swirl away. The connection holds then, with a sound transmitted through both hulls, a deep, resonant pop. The Soviet plating bends back just enough. The two submarines are no longer physically locked. They are now just lying together, intimate in their ruin. INT, Swedish surveillance. Ship MV Sveaborg. Lieutenant Marcus hears the pop. He sees the data stream from his hydrophones and magnetic detectors. He turns to Commander Dahlstrom, his face alight with a terrible understanding. They've separated. The Americans just untangled them. Not with force, with precision. Dahlstrom stares at the screens. Why, to leave? No, Marcus says, the pieces clicking into place. If they were going to leave, they'd have blown their tanks and ripped free. This was surgery. They're preparing for something else, something that requires them not to be welded together. He listens to the dead Gertrude channel, to the waiting silence. They're still talking, just not where we can hear. INT USS Philadelphia. Control room. Contact cleared, Harris reports, his voice thick with disbelief. We are separate. Structural integrity. Holding. Holden takes a deep, shuddering breath. Step 1. Now for the betrayal. He picks up the internal phone to the torpedo room. Weps, this is the captain. Make ready tube 1. Special weapon. Set for minimum yield. Proximity fuse. Target the geological formation at bearing 270. Range 60 meters. He is ordering a nuclear-tipped torpedo to be armed. A weapon designed to crack mountains. A weapon that, set to its lowest yield in this confined space, will vaporize both submarines and everything within a quarter mile, leaving nothing but a glassy crater on the seabed. It is the sanitization option. The stunned confirmation comes back. Aye, Captain. Tube 1. Special weapon. Minimum yield. Prox fuse. Standing by. The weight of it crushes the room. Holden is following his orders. He is preparing to kill them all. He then keys the intercom, his voice echoing through every compartment of the Philadelphia. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare to receive survivors. I repeat, Prepare to receive survivors from the adjacent vessel. This is a humanitarian operation. Secure all classified material. Medical teams to the forward airlock. This will be fast, and it will be orderly. The control room crew looks at him as if he has gone insane. Receive survivors? While a nuclear weapon is armed in the tube? Holden meets Miller's eyes. We have one shot, Chief. We blow our aft tanks. The force will push us up and away from them, but it will also send a shockwave through the water. It will look, to every sensor listening, like the precursor to an underwater explosion, like we have detonated something. Miller's understanding dawns, horrific and brilliant. A diversion. You're creating a cover. We are creating a tomb, Holden corrects softly, for the K-244, its officers, and its secrets. We take their crew. We leave their boats seemingly destroyed in a catastrophic event. Moscow and Washington get the neutralization they want. Our people get to live. Their conscripts get to live. And their captain? Holden looks toward the Soviet boat. He is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. INT. Soviet submarine. K-244. Control room. Orlov feels the change in the water pressure, the slight shift in his boat's corpse-like list. The American has done something. They are free. He waits for the roar of ballast tanks blowing, for the American to abandon them to the dark. Instead, a new message comes through the Gertrude, now reactivated. Holden's voice. K-244, we are ready to accept your crew. Send them through the water, one at a time. Your escape trunk, our forward airlock. We have a guideline ready. You have 30 minutes of air left. This is the only offer. Zakharov struggles against his bonds, screaming a muffled scream. Orlov ignores him. He looks at Sokolov, at his loyal officer. You heard him. Get the boys ready. Send the youngest, the most injured first. Sokolov's eyes fill. And you, Captain? I will send the politician out too, a gift to the Americans. Then you will go. I will stay with the boat. It is my order. I will not leave you. It is my order! Orlov roars, the finality echoing in the metal coffin. Now go. There is no time for a Soviet hero's death. There is only time for life. As Sokolov turns, weeping, to rally the men, Orlov keys the microphone one last time. His voice is calm, almost peaceful. Philadelphia, we accept. The transfer will begin. And spasibo. The word hangs in the static. Thank you. In the Philadelphia's control room, Holden hears it. He closes his eyes for a second. Then he turns to the weapons officer. Stand down, Tube 1. Secure the special weapon. We won't be needing it. He has just committed to a lie so vast it could swallow the world. He is betting the lives of every man under his command that the shock wave of their escape will look like an explosion, and that the silence of the abandoned K-244 will be mistaken for its grave. Chief Miller, he says, his voice now stripped of all doubt. On my mark. Blow aft ballast. Full emergency power. Take us to the surface, and signal the Swedes. Tell them we are coming up. With guests. XT. Baltic Sea. Surface. Pre-dawn. The world is a monochrome of gray water and darker gray sky. A cold, silent wind ripples the surface of the Harsfjärden Inlet. Suddenly the sea begins to boil. A colossal geyser of white water and air erupts, roaring into the stillness. It is the USS Philadelphia, blowing her aft ballast tanks with the violence of a dying breath. She surges upward, a black steel island breaching the waves in a chaos of foam and turbulence. The shock wave radiates outward, a hammer blow of concussive force through the water. On board the Swedish surveillance ship Sveaborg, hydrophone readings spike into the red. Seismographs jump. Lieutenant Johann Marcus grips the console, his heart in his throat. Contact, catastrophic ascent, or detonation. The violent upheaval masks the smaller, desperate activity happening just below. From the escape trunk of the mortally wounded K-244, a thin, fragile line snakes through the churning water toward the Philadelphia's forward airlock. One by one, Soviet sailors, boys in waterlogged uniforms, some bleeding, some half-drowned, are dragged through the freezing darkness, pulled from their tomb into the belly of their enemy. Int, Soviet submarine. K-244, control room. Captain Alexei Orlov stands alone. The control room is a grave. The only light is a single emergency lantern, casting long, dancing shadows. The sounds of his boat are final. The last sighs of pressure. The groan of the rock as it settles deeper into her guts. The relentless whisper of water rising in the corridors. Political officer Zakharov is gone, shoved unconscious into the escape trunk by Orlov himself, a final act of contempt. His executive officer Sokolov had to be physically forced out, his sobs echoing in the trunk until the hatch sealed. Orlov moves to the captain's safe. He burns the cipher books, the logs, the schematics for the new torpedo. The paper curls to black ash in a steel bucket. He then walks to the periscope well, manually raising the attack scope one last time. He puts his eye to the lens. He does not see the gray dawn. He sees a memory. A beach on the Black Sea, years ago. His young son digging in the sand. His wife's hand warm in his. A son he will never feel again. He lets the memory fill him, a final comfort against the cold. He hears a new sound. Not his boat. The powerful rhythmic thrum of the Philadelphia's pumps. The American is on the surface, surviving. A faint, grim smile touches his lips. He has kept his promise. His men will live. He takes one last look around his command. Then, with deliberate calm, he opens the main seawater valve to the control room. The Baltic roars in, a freezing black embrace. Int, USS Philadelphia, crew mess. Surfaced chaos, but ordered chaos. The large crew mess is now a trauma ward. American corpsmen and Soviet sailors work side by side, language barriers broken by the universal grammar of triage. Pressure on a wound, an oxygen mask, a blanket. Young Seaman Ivanov, the pianist from Minsk, sits shivering, wrapped in a U.S. Navy-issue blanket. He stares at the American sailor who just saved his life, who is now offering him a cup of sweet, hot cocoa. The American gives him a tired, kind smile. Ivanov takes the cup, his hands shaking. He does not see an imperialist devil. He sees a boy, just like him, scared and far from home. Chief Miller moves through the crowd, assessing. He finds Commander Holden leaning against a bulkhead, his face gray with pain and exhaustion, watching the scene. All accounted for, sir. 57 Soviet survivors. Their captain and XO didn't make it out. Miller's tone says he knows this is only partially true. Holden nods, the weight of Orlov's sacrifice a stone in his chest. And our guest? The political officer Zakharov is secured in the brig, ranting about treaties and violations. No one's listening. EXT. Baltic Sea. On the bridge of the Philadelphia. Holden climbs to the bridge, the cold dawn air slap. His submarine is a wreck, limping low in the water. And surrounding them, silent and ominous, are 3 Swedish warships, their guns trained not on the Philadelphia, but forming a protective circle around her. A launch approaches. Lieutenant Johann Marcus climbs aboard, followed by Commander Dag Dahlstrom. Marcus looks at the battered American sub, at the Soviet sailors visible through hatches, wrapped in American blankets. He looks at Holden. "You surfaced," he says simply. "We did," Holden replies, his voice raw. "Our hydrophones recorded a significant, low-yield seismic event coinciding with your emergency blow. The Soviet submarine K-244 is now silent. No reactor signature, no pressure hull noise, just the sound of structural collapse." Marcus pauses, his eyes searching Holden's. "The official record will state she was destroyed in a catastrophic system failure following the collision." Holden holds his gaze. A silent understanding passes. The Swedes will corroborate the lie. "And the survivors?" "Are victims of a tragic accident at sea," Dahlstrom states flatly. "We will take them into custody on humanitarian grounds. They will be processed, quietly, eventually repatriated. The man in your brig will be handed to the Soviet embassy as the sole surviving officer. His story will be one of American aggression and his own miraculous escape. It will be the story Moscow wants to hear. It is a perfect, neutral solution, a burial of the truth at sea." "And my boat?" Holden asks. "You will be towed to a secure dock at Moscow. Your crew will be debriefed. Your submarine will be repaired, in secrecy. Then you will leave Swedish waters as quietly as you came. This incident never happened." Int. The Pentagon, Kremlin Situation Rooms. Intercut. In both rooms, the reports come in. Pentagon. "Sir, Swedish intelligence confirms. The Soviet sub K-244 was destroyed in a post-collision implosion. The Philadelphia sustained damage but preserved her security. Crew intact. Mission log secure. Soviet survivors in Swedish custody." The Admiral allows himself a slow breath. "A fortunate outcome. Decorate Holden. Bury the report." Kremlin. "Comrade General Secretary, the Americans' spy submarine caused the disaster. Our brave K-244 was destroyed. Only political officer Zakharov survived to tell of their treachery. The Swedish dogs are covering for them, as expected." The General Secretary grunts. "A provocation, but not worth a war. Over. We will punish the Swedes economically. Issue a condemnation. A strong one. The machines of state, fed a palatable lie, grind on. The war does not start." EXT Moscow Naval Base, 2 days later, dusk. The Philadelphia, under heavy tarps and Swedish guard, is tied to a secluded pier. Her crew and the Soviet survivors are gone, transported away under cover of night. Holden stands on the dock, awaiting his own transport. He is no longer in command. He is a witness. Lieutenant Marcus approaches him, holding a small, sealed evidence bag. Inside is a water-stained, battered notebook. "We found this in the pocket of one of the younger Soviet sailors during processing. It's a diary, sketches, poems. The last entry is a description of his captain Orlov, giving the order to abandon ship, calling them his boys." Marcus offers the bag. "I thought you should have it." Holden takes it, the weight of it immense. It is not a log. It is a soul. "You saved lives, Commander," Marcus says quietly. "More than anyone will ever know." Holden looks out at the dark water of the fjord, where the ghost of the K-244 lies, holding its secrets and its captain. He saved them. I just honored the debt. A car arrives to take him away. As he gets in, he looks back one last time. The fjord is calm, silent, beautiful. A perfect, unmarked grave. The truth is buried. The world has moved on, oblivious to how close it came to the edge. The only monuments are the cracks in the hearts of the men who were there, and a single waterlogged diary written by a pianist from Minsk, who now knows that enemies are just men, and that sometimes, in the deepest dark, the only light is the one you agree to share. fade to black.